Hey, Tim, do you like horror movies?
Why, yes, I do, Matt.
You want to hear two ridiculous horror fanatics discuss all the scary movies that just came out?
Wait, you must be talking about our podcast, Happy Horror Time.
You bet your ass I am.
Oh, clean it up, Matt.
No, see, that's the best part. On Happy Horror Time, you get uncensored and unpolished reviews of all things horror. We find all the latest releases, we watch them, and then discuss them in our real talk kind of style.
AKA, we're crazy.
That too.
And don't forget, we also interview classic horror stars and insiders, asking them all the questions you've always wanted to know, but were afraid to ask.
Like when Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp told us how they found her stand-in for that big reveal at the end.
Yep, you gotta listen to find out.
Check out Happy Horror Time, a podcast for horror lovers.
Or anyone who just wants to have a good time.
Because anyone can have a happy horror time.
Now available from Jim Henson Video.
Smile.
A spectacular motion picture event.
Action except nothing less.
The one movie that's got it all. The Great Muppet Caper.
Let's go for it.
It's the story of a daring jewel heist. The target, Diana Rigg, as wealthy Lady Holiday.
I feel as if thieves were breathing down my neck.
These aren't breathing down your neck.
The culprit, Charles Grodin, as her dastardly brother.
Why are you doing this? Because I'm a villain.
And the prime suspect,
I think I've got a picture of the thief.
a beautiful young pig.
Miss Piggy stole my necklace.
And now it's up to Kermit the Frog.
We're about to embark on a potentially dangerous mission.
Fozzie Bear.
We don't want the bad guys to win.
The Great
I
Gonzo.
heard him planning to steal the baseball diamond.
And a heroic band of party animals.
We're going to have to catch those thieves red-handed.
What color are their hands now?
To save the day.
There could be physical violence. There could be gunplay. And there's the slightest chance that somebody might even get killed.
I'm out.
I got a dental appointment.
It's Muppet action and adventure like you've never seen before.
It is rather breathtaking, isn't it?
All wrapped up in the wildest Muppet motion picture ever.
You wanted excitement.
Now you can own the Great Muppet Caper on video cassette.
Need I say more?
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, this movie's so much fun.
I can't wait to talk about it.
I know. I love this one. It was hard to pick which one of these Muppet fantasies we were going to do, but
I mean,
oh my goodness.
it's the most Miss Piggy of the Muppet movies, so Great Muppet Caper is very natural. But first,
My name's Pete.
and I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay.
Yay!
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back.
Like we mentioned before, it is a very special episode of the podcast because we finally get to talk about our gay icon, Miss Piggy.
Yes, indeed. Miss Piggy, we love
And
you.
we invited to the show Lex Apro and the current reigning Mr. Delaware Cub 2020. Welcome to the show.
Lex, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my goodness. How much do you love The Great Muppet Caper?
I love this movie. My grandmother, growing up, had a Miss Piggy room. Like, she...
Love it.
Her thing was Miss Piggy. And it was this just, like, shrine. These 2 floor-to-ceiling shelves. There were blankets and pillows, the whole nine. And when she moved into, like, a rehab facility, she was like, I think you all need to sell... Like, when you sell that, it needs to go as one unit. And we were like... Yeah,
Sure.
And then we just
Sure, Grandma.
cherry picked what we wanted. But she had everything from like Muppet Babies squeaky toy to the Franklin Mint Y2K Miss Piggy ceramic sculpture. So you name it, she had it.
That's amazing.
I'm trying to think of my favorite Miss Piggy thing that I had growing up. And I remember the McDonald's toy. I think it was around the time Muppet Treasure Island came out, and it was like a bath toy. And she sat on like a floaty.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. I feel like the best ever McDonald's Happy Meal toys were the Muppet Babies.
Absolutely.
Toys.
Oh yeah,
They were kind of great.
I love Muppet Babies.
Oh, so good.
Also,
It was-
born of
it's
Muppets Take
iconic.
Manhattan, to throw it back.
This is true.
Yeah, I love it. I remember sitting in the theater seeing that scene in Muppets Take Manhattan, just being like, "This is amazing. This is all I ever want," and I would watch this nonstop. And then,
they
weeks
gave it to
later,
you.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the timeline was, but when they finally gave it to us, I was just like, oh, in heaven.
So
much fun.
I think that when I invited you onto the show, Lex, you gave me a list of movies that you wanted to do, and I immediately jumped at The Great Muppet Caper because this is a movie that we've been talking about doing within the past year, but we just haven't found the right guest to do it with. Right. And I'm glad that you put that in the message because
of course.
We are down to talk about The Great Muppet Caper.
I think you're right that this one definitely features Miss Piggy the heaviest. The other contender could be Manhattan because it does end in a Broadway musical, which, like, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, she has her look in Manhattan is really great as well.
Iconic 80s Miss Piggy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's got the working girl hair going.
It's the Barbara Streisand era of Miss Piggy. And what's great about the visual looks of Miss Piggy, if you kind of dissect her looks of the decades, the 70s and like late 60s, it was very like Sharon Tate. She had those like sleepy, beautiful bedroom eyes.
Oh, you're right.
Very Sharon Tate.
And the long, straight, natural hair. Not really overly styled or blown out.
The 80s with Muppets Take Manhattan, you get the Streisand perm. I was trying to think of what a good example for the 90s look, and this afternoon I landed on it's very Suzanne Summers.
Oh, okay. From
the 90s. And then in the 2000s, it's giving me a little Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City. Oh, she has like the Kim Cattrall bob.
Uh-huh. I think it's getting longer now.
It is. Yeah. It's
for whatever the new thing is.
She got those extensions in for Muppets Now? Muppets Now.
That's the Disney Plus one?
Yeah. It's okay. It's fine.
The new Kermit voice, it throws me off.
Yeah, I agree.
It throws me off.
Even they would get good sound-alikes for Jim Henson.
Yeah.
But the new one in the Muppets Now doesn't do it for me either.
Yeah. Well, what year is The Great Muppet Caper?
The Great Muppet Caper was released June 26th, 1981. This is an earlier movie from the 80s than I remember it being.
It's
1980.
It definitely feels like it should be like mid-80s, like Muppets are in their heyday, but it's 81.
Well, when you really get into like the meat of the story, which takes place in the, intrigue of the London fashion world. I feel like Piggy's hair is really kind of giving me, because it's early 80s, it's kind of giving me like a Christy Brinkley kind of a vibe,
Very much.
That like blonde, all-American girl supermodel, if you will, of the time.
It's a good pull. I like it.
Some of her looks in this, oh my goodness.
Well, she has the lookbook. She literally has her lookbook in this.
Oh,
the lookbook,
my God,
makes me die every single time I see it. Of when she pulls it out in front of Diana Rigg, and it's the same pose every single page.
It makes me wonder if it's just like a Piggy maquette that they had, and then they just put new clothes on it, or if they bothered to pose the actual Muppet.
It's such a funny gag, though.
Anytime you see an image of a full body Muppet standing, just free
a little unnerving.
Yeah, a little kooky. Mm-hmm. All the Muppet movies have, the Muppet movies are just a feat of movie making, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's like the things that they do with these puppets in these movies is crazy. And in the first Muppet movie from 76,
I want to say it's like 79.
Hold on, 70s?
Let me look that up.
Mm-hmm. I think
the big
late 70s.
Yeah. The big gag was, Kermit riding a bicycle, right?
I'm an adult in 2021 and I still am like, how do they do it?
How in the hell? That is movie magic right there, right? In this movie, it's not just Kermit riding a bike. It's like every single damn Muppet.
It's a fleet of Muppets on bikes.
They really upped it, yeah.
Yeah.
The Muppet movie was 1979.
Okay. So a mere 2 years later, we have this one. And
so it was following the was the Muppet Show currently on at the time?
In 81? Probably
in 79?
I think in 79 it would have been. I don't know in 81 if it was still on the air.
I think Caper, the Muppet Show, had just ended.
Sure.
And when I was looking up the box office returns, this movie was not a hit.
No.
Like, I remember it being... I kind of would like to think this movie also took the nation by storm, but it grossed like half of what the Muppet movie did, and it just kind of came and went in theaters.
Yeah, I think I read that it was either the third highest grossing Muppet or 5th highest grossing Muppet. So, like, it is not in the upper tier.
Right. Well, now, since I am the only one that was alive when this movie was released.
You can remember the 80s.
I can remember the 80s. I cannot remember 1981. I was 3.
Okay.
So I don't really remember it that much. But I always just have I have more of a memory and an attachment to this movie and Muppets Take Manhattan than I do to the Muppet movie.
For sure. I think that's probably the one I watched the least.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So, I'm kind of opposite.
Really?
I feel like I grew up with the 90s takes on the literary classics like
Treasure
Christmas
Island.
Carol and Treasure Island, which are so good. I think I watch Christmas Carol every December. But I remember watching the Muppet movie a lot and just the Muppets TV show.
Yeah.
I think I have memories of seeing the Muppet Caper on the early Disney Channel in the 90s, but I can't really remember. I feel like most of my memories of this movie are probably within the last 10 years.
Right. Interesting.
Because you really like it.
Yes, I've had this movie on DVD as long as I've had a DVD player. I'm sure I had a VHS of it, but that's been long lost.
I definitely remember watching it as a kid because I remember it's the dad from Beethoven.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Charles Grodin.
Yeah.
Charles Grodin's character in this movie is wild.
Is this the
acting
only
is out of
time
control.
a human wants to fuck a Muppet?
I'm sure that they've done some work with that in the more recent movies.
I
didn't see the one with Tina Fey.
That's Most
Muppets
Wanted.
Most Wanted.
Yeah, Muppets Most
I only know that because they redid the queue for Muppet Vision 3D in Hollywood Studios to include stuff from that. So that's all I know from Muppets Most Wanted is
Get out of here.
All I just know is the meme.
I mean the Kermit and
Is the Kermit meme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering, maybe this is the only time that a human wants to fuck a Muppet.
It might. I can't imagine that's like. I imagine if someone had, like, walked into Disney and was like, "Have I got a pitch for you?"
There isn't a subplot of somebody in Muppets Take Manhattan that wants to do Miss Piggy?
No, because Miss Piggy is pining over Kermit, who's like friendly with the diner waitress.
The diner waitress, and she doesn't actually have a crush on Kermit. Piggy just thinks that they do because they're kind of close friends.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, that waitress girl, she wants to get in
But
Kermit's
she did
pants,
not.
but she doesn't.
She doesn't want that frog dick.
Does Gregory Hines want? When he's roller skating in Central Park. Yeah, so interesting. That's funny.
I do have in my notes, would I have sex with Charles Grodin?
1981.
I'm not
Charles
sure.
Grodin.
81 Grodin?
Maybe.
I might.
With the floral socks? Maybe with the floral socks? Yeah.
He does lip sync really well.
Well, I like that he's the brother of Lady Holiday. Doesn't even bother with an accent.
No, yeah.
In what, like, movie universe are Diana Rigg and Charles Grodin brother and sister? I guess in a Muppet one.
In the Muppets world.
Maybe they went to different boarding schools.
Oh, okay.
They're
there you
rich.
go. That's true.
So he just, like, adopted an American accent or something? I don't know. Lady Holiday is out of
Icon.
control. Oh
Glamour.
my gosh. Yeah.
Très chic.
Okay. We'll do a little bit of plot exposition because this movie's crazy because the Muppet movie is one thing. It's like, we're the Muppets.
And the Muppet movie is like a road movie.
Yeah, it's this road movie.
You're kind of getting a formal introduction to a lot of them.
And it was like really well received by the public. You know,
Yeah.
The Muppet Show was like iconic. Everybody watched it. It wasn't just kids; like adults were in on it too. The Muppet movie was so well received. Then this movie comes out a couple of years later, and they decide to kind of have a new take on the story, and they just kind of throw it out to you at the beginning, like, "Hey, by the way, this is a sequel, but we're different characters.
Slate's wiped clean, but we're still the Muppets.
It's like a movie."
Yeah, and we're aware we're making a movie again.
Yeah. Which I like. I think it was
I
cool.
love
It's
Muppet
cute.
meta Muppet stuff. I think
Yes.
is the most successful version of meta that I find.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And even the things that they did in this movie as far as like referring to plot exposition and like all of that fun stuff. Like all that jokey stuff. It worked. It worked for me. But the big gag that they say at the beginning is that they are Kermit, Fozzie, and Gonzo are reporters for a newspaper
Gonzo's the photographer.
Gonzo's the photographer.
Looking fly as fuck in his little...
Oh, yeah.
In his little clothes.
In his little, like...
Looks so cute.
Argyle sweater vest.
With his plaid pants.
And, like, saddle shoes. Oh, man. The little tiny Gonzo saddle shoes are amazing.
I wonder where, like,
Kermit...
Is there a Muppet... Because I know there's, like, the Disney archive where they send, you know, all that kind of, like... costumes and stuff. Is there a Muppet archive, do we know? Where
we went to an exhibit here in LA.
What museum was that at?
It was at the Zimmer Museum over by the Getty, and it was a traveling exhibit, and it had a lot of it was a Muppet exhibit.
I would die.
It was pretty awesome.
The only thing is I don't know how those puppets preserve after decades.
Well, the felt ones are fine. Anything with foam rubber or, you know...
yeah, I imagine Miss Piggy might not hold up, but Kermit's probably pretty safe.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a lot of cool stuff at that exhibit. Yeah, and they had really cool the Muppet Show windows, which I thought were really cool.
Oh,
yeah, like a big, like full size. You can go stand in like the little arches.
That is amazing. I'm jealous.
Yes. And they had a lot of Dark Crystal stuff there, and I love the Dark Crystal.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Dark Crystal, I might have seen as a child, but it's also very like bleak and no jokes. So I don't know that I would have sat through it the whole time. It's been on my list to venture because I love Jim Henson and I love puppet work. But yeah,
it's a mood.
Yeah,
it's something that you have to just be like, all right, I'm going to watch this because it is dark, and it's from the early '80s, so the pacing is very different from a modern movie.
And there are no humans in it, unless you're counting the Jen stand-in for some of the wide shots.
I mean, if we're going to talk about a person in a Muppet costume, we've picked the right movie.
Oh, we did. It is.
There's some crazy shots of Miss Piggy in this movie.
Deeply unsettling to watch.
The proportions are so weird. They did not proportionize this Miss Piggy.
I just don't get why you wouldn't make it on, like, get a little person performer.
Get a little person.
And make the costume around those proportions. Because then it kind of, your brain isn't so far off.
Yeah.
Because when they switch from Miss Piggy atop the swimming pyramid to a human...
Yeah,
the swimsuit, it looks like Wish. It looks like you ordered the swimsuit off Wish.
Yeah. What you ordered versus what arrived. Yes. There's like an overhead shot of her walking down the street, forlorn. Why? Why?
Yeah.
Unnecessary. And creepy.
I kind of get the motorcycle situation. That's why they couldn't downsize.
I think that's the most successful... full body, whatever.
Especially when she goes flying at Charles Grodin.
Yes.
Oh, mercy. But, okay. Back to the framework. Kermit and Fozzie are twin brothers, identical twin brothers.
Love that for them.
Cute gag.
I love this gag that's throughout the entire movie. Really funny. This opening number... Right. Okay. So this is this a co-directed by Frank Oz and Jim Henson?
I think that Jim Henson has sole directing, but Frank Oz always had a lot of creative input for all of the movies.
If he's around,
it might as well be.
This opening number.
I want my life to be the opening of a Muppet movie. It's so fucking charming.
Get over this opening number.
It's
in this movie.
Beautiful. So growing up, I knew the Muppets from my grandmother, but I didn't watch a whole lot of them. But I had a CD that was like the Muppets Greatest Hits or whatever. So it was the soundtrack to Muppet Movie, Caper, Manhattan, and then a bunch of the highlights from the show. So I knew all the music before I even watched this movie for the first time. It's just such a great, this is the world of the Muppets, everyone. Buckle in.
Yeah. It's I love that it's this backlot and it's just this tight little street. It's just kind of the artifice of it, but I love that, you know?
It's not like in Christmas Carol for the Mr. Humbug where you go everywhere. They're like, we have one street with one alleyway.
From one end to the other. And you know what's interesting is I always have compared this opening number to the opening of Little Shop of Horrors.
That's Skid Row?
Yeah, Skid Row. And also, Skid Row specifically. Because it's just, and that's directed by Frank Oz. Because in Skid Row, there's the main parts, but every now and then, a hobo on the side of the road would like say a little downtown, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, it's like the vegetables in the vegetable cart say it, you know?
I want to know where those Muppets ended up. Like, where did Artichoke Muppet go after this? Because
bunch of grapes. Yeah.
I don't think I saw them a whole lot.
They went straight to a Fruit of the Loom commercial.
They were carted out later for Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, you're
Probably,
right.
yeah.
In that one.
Yeah, but I always thought that directing style was very specific to these Muppet movies, where there are these big opening numbers, and then there's just little incidental Muppets that you don't see that are just kind of spread out throughout singing little side parts.
That's also one of the things that the Jason Segel 2011 movie did really well too, was their opening number.
Yeah, it felt like splashy and big and classic Muppet.
Yeah. So the whole thing is that in this opening number, it's in this little street, it's like a little downtown, metropolitan street, and our heroes, who are news reporters, are trying to find something to get a picture of for the front page. What do they find? What does Gonzo find? Something insignificant. A chicken, of course. It's Gonzo. He finds a chicken. But while he finds this chicken, the real story is going on behind them. I love that this, what is it, a Ferrari, like roll, a Lambo, like zooms in.
It's the most conspicuous getaway car you can have.
Yeah. Charles Grodin helping a Girl Scout cross the street or some nonsense.
I also like that they never explain why Lady Holiday was in America in the beginning of the movie and why they couldn't have just been British reporters the whole time.
The entire time.
Like, they could have just been there.
Yeah, but I do think the whole idea of them flying...
I was going to say, we wouldn't get the plane stuff.
Yeah,
planes are super cute.
That's
in
true.
6th class.
The plane stuff is great.
Class? Isn't it even worse? 9th class? Yeah. So they miss the big, ticket news story that's going on behind them, which is Lady Holiday having her jewels stolen right off of her person.
In broad daylight. In this full camp. Like, he's just wearing a domino mask and a black turtleneck.
And his signature floral socks. And she still doesn't know that it's her own brother. Her own brother.
Yeah.
So they immediately get fired. Only
by Jack Warren from Problem Child.
Oh yeah.
I always know Jack Warren from Problem Child and While You Were Sleeping.
It's funny. Problem Child in my head is the title of the Macaulay Culkin horror movie with Elijah Wood.
That's The Good Son.
I know. Forever, I would called it the Problem. I said like the Problem Child, starring Macaulay Culkin. And one day, someone was like, "What?" And I had this like, "Oh no" moment.
The unofficial remake of The Bad Seed.
That's funny. Did you like actually not know, or you just like
in my head for some reason I was like, "That's the title of that movie, The Problem Child."
I love that. And you're like, "Oops." I meant to say that.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I didn't even. So that's the newspaper editor that fires him, and he's in the actual Problem Child.
Yes.
Okay.
He's he's the grandpa in Problem Child.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Now I remember. So they get shipped off to the UK to cover the story of the Lady Holiday thievery, and they go in 9th class, 6th class.
They fly Frontier.
They're in the cargo. Yeah,
I love that shot of the pond in England and the boxes just drop out of the sky.
Yeah,
it's so great.
I love that they're crates that when they're in, the storage compartment.
They have little bells or like barbells.
They have bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that they have bars on them, but like Fozzie says bear, Kermit says frog, and Gonzo says whatever on it, right? Because nobody knows what Gonzo is.
Isn't it set up in Muppet Babies that he's just a weirdo?
But I was going to say...
Yeah. Or is that Muppets from Space? Because I think Muppets from Space goes into what exactly is. Yeah.
It's like he was like an alien, and I think they're called weirdos. I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
But it is also in Muppet Babies that he refers to himself as a weirdo, and everybody does too. But so I was always, as a kid, I was always like, he's a weirdo. But whatever's fine. But
it's to this day why I love calling things and people weirdos.
See, to me, that makes me think of Hocus Pocus. Weirdos.
I love that. When they get to the UK. Oh, but it is funny because so there's cameos in this movie of
everywhere.
Like old-timey, but there's old-timey British actors that I have no idea who they are.
That's the weird thing, because I assume Muppets was, an international popularity thing, but normally in a Muppet movie, it's like, oh, there's Joan Rivers and 80 other American actors. I'm like, this Wikipedia is all like, this is a renowned British actress who's been knighted. And
I'm like, okay.
Sure.
Because I guess the guy by the pond who gives them, like, their directions to the Happiness Hotel, I guess he's somebody.
He's a big name to them.
Yeah.
Peter Falk's in this movie, Columbo.
Yeah.
So I guess there's your topical celebrity for the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know John Cleese because he's got international,
he's got
acclaim
clout.
for but everybody else is just like, okay. But the man sitting by the side of the pond, he says, does he say you're in the United Kingdom and
Great
Fozzie's
Britain?
like, oh no, Great Britain. And they're like, oh no, we missed it.
How are we going to get to England?
Yeah, I love that. The Happiness Hotel I want to live in.
I want
great.
I want the Happiness Hotel bus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gosh.
I want that bus.
Yeah. Another
great number.
Oh my God! Yeah. Welcome home to the Happiness Hotel. So good. What's his name? The guy who at the front desk guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's me at my job, just asleep. I love. I love him so much. Scott was questioning when we were watching it. Is this our introduction to Rizzo the Rat?
I think
Probably.
it might be.
And Rizzo isn't super prominent in this, but he's more featured in Muppets Take Manhattan, right?
I think by then he's become like Gonzo's little sidekick.
I love
Yeah.
Rizzo. He's one of my favorites.
I love their dynamic, him and Gonzo, and I love in Muppet Vision 3D when he comes out dressed as Mickey Mouse and says, "Hello, welcome to my park."
To my park. I love his little voice. So funny. Muppet Vision 3D, man.
It's been a hot second since we've seen Muppet
yeah.
Vision
Well, 'cause
3D.
It's not in land anymore, is it?
It's not at DCA. I don't think. Well, I think that when the 2011 Muppet movie came back, it did
I think it had a little
little run.
Yeah.
But then they got rid of it, and I don't think that anything is there. Oh no, there's something else there, and I can't remember what it is.
Isn't the theater still there?
Probably
Or is it
Avengers
something else?
the
something or
theater's
other.
still there, but it's something else though.
Well, that whole section they're going to retool into an Avengers situation.
Yeah.
But
It's still going
20-year
strong in
anniversary
Disney
of
World.
DCA. Yeah.
Is Muppet Vision still there? Oh,
I don't know how much longer, but it's still there.
Right,
It's
yeah.
at the borderline of Star Wars land. So it's just like terrifies me that every day I'm going to get a notification that's like they're getting rid. They're finally closing it.
Oh,
They're demolishing Muppet Vision.
wow.
I met Sweetums there.
I love Sweetums.
He's the best.
I remember. I was going to say one of the first times I remember seeing Sweetums is the Muppet Frog Prince.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I don't think I've seen it either.
Yeah, it's when they did like fairy tales.
Oh, it's old. It's
old.
It's Robin.
And it has Robin
Yeah,
in it.
yeah.
Oh, I saw the I think it's Muppets Emperor's New Clothes and Fozzie's the Emperor. I think that was my fairy tale Muppet situation.
Interesting. I haven't seen either of
A
those.
lot of these were rerun on the early years or like the early 90s of Disney too.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of all my Muppet memories
Yeah.
are all from the Disney Channel at that time.
Because it was still
I think
a pretty new acquisition at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they probably got it in like the late 80s, like 88, 89.
Yeah, I think before that, all the fairy tale stuff was for HBO.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And this is a Universal movie. That's very random.
Yeah.
I think it was distributed by Universal.
Oh, that is
Okay.
weird.
But now it's just more or less Disney.
You were also mentioning it took us a minute to get to. Well, it definitely takes us a minute to get to the actual caper.
Yeah.
Of the title.
Which apparently
takes
people didn't like that name for the movie. that was apparently a sticking point for some people, that they didn't like that it was called a caper, and I was like, but it is a caper.
But yeah. It is, especially the last act is full on, it's like a heist.
It's a little Muppets Ocean's 11.
Okay, I like that. When we do get to Lady Holiday and her just like day in the life little scene introducing her fashion house.
So good.
It's amazing.
I mean, it's still to this day how I just picture fashion designers behaving behind closed doors with models.
My vision of British fashion houses comes from this and The Parent Trap.
Yeah.
It's what I imagine all British fashion houses are.
Yeah. Lady Holiday's look, I mean, she just always has like a fascinator.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like she belongs in the movie Clue.
Oh, yes, definitely. She's very like Mrs. Peacock adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Played by Lady Diana Rigg. May she rest in peace.
Oh, yeah,
I think we lost her in 2020.
Yeah.
One of the things we lost in 2020.
Very beautiful in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Gorgeous.
But the character is very like kind of uptight dressing. Like I said, she always has a fascinator, high collars, like long sweeping like cloaks and things. We see her kind of looking at her models, her three are these her three muse models?
Marla, Carla, and Darla.
She hates them.
Well, because that's the thing is if she's the fashion designer, then she designed the dresses that they're wearing. But when she critiques them, they feel like personal attacks that the models are offended by. So I don't know how this fashion house works.
Yeah, she's addressing them like, why do you look like that? Why are you wearing it that way? And it's like, they're wearing your clothes that you put on them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at 3 of the gowns now, and I can see horrendous mistakes. Of course, Paris should be notified. Carla, the neckline on that gown is too high, don't you think?
I rather like the effect.
Do you like looking like an ostrich?
Of course not.
And Mara. Too many frills and furbelows. I don't think we should strive for the fantail pigeon look, do you? And you, Darla, that outfit's the bits. Loose where it should be tight and tight where it should be loose, like the folds on a turkey's neck. Why would I design such atrocious-looking clothes? Oh, I must be getting senile.
It's not like they came into work and she's just like, I don't like what you're wearing, you know.
Yeah, that would have been a better version of that. But it's like, you design these dresses.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes these like giant like shears.
Ribbon
and,
cutting scissors.
Yeah.
She throws some paint on one. I love that.
Is it like ink from like an old-timey inkwell?
Oh, I think it
so.
is.
Yeah.
Like a blotter?
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. Throws it all over one of them. Cuts off somebody's like ringlet curl. Which, hey, if Tyra Banks taught us anything, is you got to be ready for your hair to get chopped off on set.
Yeah, and then they'll send you home the next week.
Exactly.
And always have your lookbook ready.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So there is one line that she says to someone, and she's talking this entire time. I don't know if somebody's on the phone, like a speakerphone situation.
Yeah.
And she does say something to the effect of, I don't know why I keep designing these dreadful clothes.
Yeah, it's like it seems like she's kind of like at a standstill, like a creative standstill.
She seems pretty checked out with what she's designing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I mean, in her defense, it is just draped fabric.
Just Grecian dresses.
Well, also at the fashion show, we don't see any of this.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And then there's a swimwear collection.
I was going to say what
came out of nowhere.
Miss Piggy comes out in is very like Marco Marco.
Oh,
the collar, cape.
It looks like it belongs in a Marco Marco show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I want to make that silver swimsuit.
Oh man. The high collar cape. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, you know, your swimsuit with a pleated high collar cape.
Why not? The 3 models that we do see, is there a redhead and a blonde?
I think so.
There's a blonde, a brunette, and one of them is black.
Yes. Marla, Carla, and Darla.
And I love that they have their initials on their
hat
hats.
pins.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just caught it for the very first time when we rewatched it. They all have berets in a different color, and there's a big hat pin through all of their berets, and there's a giant gold like monogram.
I will have to
on the
look for
end.
that next time I watch it.
Yes. And right off the bat, they're like just conspiring. They're just like, they hate her.
We hate. Well, she came in and was like, "You look like an ostrich. You look like a hippo. You look like a giraffe. Get the fuck out of my office." Which, like, again, you designed these clothes, lady.
Yeah. All of my models look like barnyard animals.
Perfect segue for Miss Piggy, though.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Miss Piggy's introduction to this movie is so good.
Yeah, she just
I mean, she's
busts
kind of
into-
like Andy from The Devil Wears Prada, like she's looking a job, but unlike Andy,
She's
Miss
glamorous.
Piggy wants to
Yeah.
be in fashion.
She
She wants to work her way up.
you also could like edit Miss Piggy's entrance into like Roger Rabbit or like a film noir. Like she could be the femme fatale who's like, "You have to find my husband. He's missing."
She's introduced in like Profile too.
love it.
Yeah, in profile from behind with a hat.
Good heavens, who are you?
My name is Miss Piggy, and I would like to be a high-fashion model.
Doesn't surprise me. Seems to be the way we're heading.
I've always dreamed of being a holiday model. I have brought my je ne sais quoi and my portfolio all the way here to London to see you, the one and only Lady Holiday. May I come in?
Absolutely not.
Oh, may I show you my portfolio?
No.
Good, here. You may open it. This is me wreaking grandeur. Being aloof. Being demure. Daring.
Interesting range of emotions.
You think so?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the hat. I love when she says, "I want to be a model." And Lady Holiday, Diana Rigg is just like, "Oh, it seems like that's where this industry is going." It's like, what does that mean?
I always took that to mean the barnyard animals.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Just to call back to her earlier statement about barnyard animals running amok.
When
Yeah,
she
that makes
hires Miss Piggy and Miss Piggy lets out her squeal and delight, it gets me every time. It's so funny.
sense. That scream.
Because I love to
Died.
see
Dead.
ecstatic Miss Piggy that's just cannot contain her excitement.
I can offer you a job as a receptionist.
I'll take it! I'll take it! Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Oh, sorry, I can type, I can take shorthand, I can make coffee, oh, I can do it all!
Sit.
I can sit, I'm very good at sitting.
Are you quite under control?
It gets me every time. It's so funny.
That scream.
Because I love to
Died.
see
Dead.
ecstatic Miss Piggy that's just cannot contain her excitement.
Yeah.
I love any Muppet that does the excited, like, let go of the handrails and just wobble
Yeah.
the hand. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So good. Does Miss Piggy? She has to have her signature purple satin opera gloves on the entire movie, right?
I mean, she has them in the big house.
Yeah.
She has them in most of the movie, if not all the movie.
Yeah, I do love her look here when she comes for this interview, which she doesn't really have an interview. She just kind of like cons her way.
Yeah, she basically elevator pitches Lady
Yeah.
Holiday into
Yeah.
giving her a job.
This is where we see the lookbook, which is,
So good.
yeah,
It
iconic.
it almost feels like if you ever played any of those like early Flash computer games where you like design clothes and it's just
Yeah.
like all you do is pick the hair and one dress and it all goes on the same body shape. That's what it is.
Yes, definitely, absolutely. Or like you said earlier, just like there's one photograph that they took of the puppet, and then they had that like clear cellophane
Oh yeah, the
paper
just put it over it.
that you could just, the cells that you could just put right over it with the outfit. I think in like the Grecian one she has curly hair, but other than that,
Yeah, the hair does change a little bit. They have the different piggy hairs.
yeah. Lady Holiday kind of gives her. She gives plot exposition about her brother and how Charles Grodin. What's the character's name?
Nikki?
Mickey Holiday. He's second in command, but he's like terrible at his job. He just spends all her money. He's college dropout. You know,
he's
I don't know
an irresponsible
why
parasite, which is written on his door.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I love it.
Right under his name, it's like
I didn't notice
engraved.
that. That's funny.
Yeah, irresponsible parasite. But I love that Miss Piggy's like, "Why are you telling me all this?" And
it's plot exposition. It has to go somewhere.
It has to go somewhere, and that's like a perfect line. And
Yeah.
she just kind of throws it out there, so like.
And you can be Diana Rigg and just casually say that.
Diana Rigg handles this kind of Muppet world very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's doing what Michael Caine is doing in Christmas Carol, which is I'm acting this as if I'm not acting it with Muppets. I'm just acting.
You're my
it
scene
straight,
partner, Miss
and
Piggy.
You're my scene partner.
Uh-huh.
And that's how it comes off in her scenes with Miss Piggy, and it's perfect.
It gives me big Madeline Kahn energy, the way Diana
yes.
Rigg carries herself in this.
Oh yes, for sure.
I could easily see Madeline Kahn playing this role too.
Oh yeah. Did she? I assume Madeline Kahn guested on the Muppet Show at some point. Everyone did.
I'm
yeah,
sure
and
she
she's
did.
in the movie as well.
Oh, that's right.
Isn't she in the movie? Or am I thinking of Carol Kane? Well, Carol Kane's in it for sure.
Yeah, Carol Kane
feel like
definitely.
I can't remember.
I feel like Madeline Kahn's in there somewhere. But yeah, she's definitely giving like Mrs. White vibes throughout. But she leaves Miss Piggy alone for some, reason, just so that she.
I
can
love
be
that.
alone in the office.
You're a stranger. Here's a job,
Yeah.
and
and
you
you're
have
starting
my office
immediately. You're starting right this very moment, and I'm leaving, and you're in charge.
The whole section of the movie with Kermit and Piggy that she's passing herself off as Lady Holiday is very charming too.
It's very sweet.
When he walks in,
It's
and
a good little beat in the story.
Yeah. And he sees her just kind of like emoting to no one and having this fantasy.
Every little gay boy.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Oh, my goodness. And then falls in the trash can.
That shot of Piggy's legs out of
hanging out of the
trash can.
Love it.
I'm always here for a shot of Miss Piggy's legs.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of that in this movie.
There is. There's so much full body Miss Piggy. And I love the like lucite like hooker heel.
the clear pump.
Yeah.
The shape of that clear pump. Oh my god, I can't.
It's little hooves.
Like,
It's the size of Kermit's head.
It's the size of his entire, like his whole upper body. It's so funny. I love when she comes up with her address of 17 Highbrow Street.
Mm-hmm.
Just the like way this long protracted joke of like, you must live on some highbrow street somewhere. She's like, yes,
that's it.
That's it.
You're a psychic.
So, the whole thing is that he walks in intending to interview Lady Holiday about this theft, and he sees Miss Piggy and thinks it's her, and she plays it off.
And she goes on with it.
She goes on with
which, like, I would.
She goes along with it
because she wants that. Because she wants that Kermit dick. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Do frogs even have dicks? I mean, what else would they have?
I imagine they do.
I remember something in biology class of it being really weird, but that's another.
Duck
episode.
dicks are horrifying. I know that from biology.
Yes, this is like a corkscrew situation.
Yeah.
Pointy.
Ew. Well, at any rate, Piggy's after it.
Mm-hmm.
But when we do find out who actually lives at 17 Highbrow Street, I always remember it as being 123 Fake Street, but that's from The Simpsons.
Wow.
This is 17 Highbrow. John Cleese playing old.
Yeah, it is very like a high school production of a musical old age makeup.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like John Cleese was probably in his early 40s when he shot this.
If that, late 30s, because it's like 1981. He's got that like gray powder in his hair.
He turns and there's like a pig pen cloud around him.
Like a halo. Oh my goodness. But the woman who plays his wife seems like an actual old person. We just had a cat freak.
Our cat's going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she is much older than he is.
Yeah, she looks
played by Joan Sanderson.
Joan Sanderson. I love
the
her.
fourth Sanderson sister.
Yes, naturally, it's their mother. Since she was born in 1912.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. That is an old lady. Mm-hmm. This scene, I feel like, goes on a little long.
It is a skosh too long.
Mm-hmm. You get that cool shot of Miss Piggy climbing the wall, though.
Yeah, there's it's very active Muppet work in this movie. They're climbing a lot. They're jumping a lot. They're dancing a lot.
Those puppeteers had their work cut out for them in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it was that thing where they did so much in the Muppet movie that they were like, we need to do more in this one.
Yeah,
more,
like where do we go?
More things where the audience says, how in the hell are they doing that?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Miss Piggy shimmying up the drain pipe.
I love how Miss Piggy and Kermit play being discovered in the closet.
That scene is funny.
Pretty good.
She is cool as a cucumber.
Yeah. She's going to talk her way out of this one.
And I think John Cleese, the joke here is that British people are just very kind of even-tempered.
Yeah, right. Even when they're mad, they're not really.
It's like white people when they're come up against something slightly off-putting, they're like, I can't let anybody know I have emotions about this.
Yes, yeah. I think that's the joke in the scene, and it's like, like we said, it's a little protracted, but specifically where he finds him in the closet, that's where it works the best.
The Dubonnet Club lines are like perfect.
Yes. Well, that's more of a supper.
Well, that's what I told them, but they went anyways.
And then it leads us to the opening scene of Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Because this supper club, I'm expecting Indiana Jones to be in a corner, like having a Mexican standoff with a bunch of Chinese
and
guys.
Then impale him with like a shish kebab.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks exactly like the restaurant from Temple of Doom.
And what I was thinking was there was sort of a fascination with those 1930s musicals in the early 80s because you get it in this, you get it in Annie, John Huston's Annie, you get it in Temple of Doom. So that sort of nostalgia was definitely having a moment in the early 80s.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about the people who were making movies in the 80s are referencing movies
stuff that they grew up on.
Yeah.
So
makes sense. And Muppet all Muppet movies are musicals, I think.
Oh yes.
And they're all splashy.
Yes. And if they're not, they should be. I mean, it's just built into these characters.
And this is where we get the First Time It Happens, the song.
It's so sweet. Especially for like a Muppet song. It's so sweet.
It lost the Oscar to Arthur.
Arthur's theme is a really good song. When You Get Lost Between the Moon and New York City.
Beautiful song.
It's a really good song.
Because I like Arthur, but I never think of music.
Oh, it's called Arthur's Theme, that song.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll have to
It's
give
Christopher
that a
Cross. It is the epitome of yacht rock. Like if you're like, yacht rock, I've heard of yacht rock. What is that? Play that song.
I'm sure that it was played during our wedding reception somewhere.
It's corny as all get out. It is just white people music, but I just love it.
Huh.
It's a very beautiful song.
And every now and then I do get lost between the moon and New York City. And
I'm gonna have to YouTube that when we finish recording.
You should. And the other thing about that, which I love, is that it's sung by Christopher Cross, and Christopher Cross is a big old fat guy. And I love that, like in the 80s, you could just have like a career in music, and have
you could just sort of be a slob and still be a pop star.
Was a sex symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, speaking of the Muppets, who wrote all of the music for the Muppets?
Oh yeah, Paul Williams.
Paul Williams.
Oh yeah,
that weirdo.
That.
And Paul Williams was kind of a weird sex symbol of the 70s too.
He's just this little guy that looks like Tennessee Williams, just like a tiny little chubby dude. And he looks like Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's not a kind reference.
No, he looks like grown up Cousin Oliver, and he was like a sexy guy. He would be on the Tonight Show all the time. Like all his music videos had like sexy dames, and he was just this funny looking little dude that wrote the shit out of this music and was winning, Grammys and Oscars
and
all over the place.
Making trips to the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then he just disappeared. Really weird. Very interesting. I would love to do a deep dive on Paul Williams. He also wrote all the music for Phantom of the Paradise, which is another like wacky movie.
That's been on my radar for a while.
Yeah.
It's the better version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, in my opinion. I know that's a hot take.
That is a very hot
take. I think it's sort of the better rock opera.
Well, did you see that one of the titles for this, one of the proposed titles for this movie was the Rocky Horror Muppet Show? Which,
oh my God, I love that.
I love that as a title, but not for this one.
It would be a completely different story.
No sense.
I mean, I would love to see a version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show starring Muppets.
I want most movies to be remade starring the Muppets, even as like a small sketch.
Sure.
Like I would love Devil Wears Prada starring Muppets.
I'll take it.
Muppets Go Medieval.
Oh yeah.
So that was a little tangent, but The First Time It Happens is a really good song.
Yeah, beautiful song.
I will say I'm sad that it lost the Oscar, but you know, I said my piece about Christopher Cross. This isn't quite the water ballet number that we get later on, but we do get some choreography in this movie.
It's funny. In my head, I remembered that, because it's been a minute since I've watched the Muppet Caper, I remembered that the water ballet happened, and I remembered that this scene happened, and for some, in my brain I was like, this song turns into a water ballet.
Same thing.
Like, it's going to go into, like, a dream sequence.
Uh-huh.
We had the absolute same experience.
I think at this point of the movie, we're like, isn't there a synchronized swimming number in this movie?
Doesn't she come out of the water with sparklers on her head?
Where do they fit in that?
They loved the scene ended, and we were both just like, but when does she jump in the water?
Oh, no, it's the swimsuits that we never heard Lady Holiday talk about.
Exactly.
Those fierce Marco
yes
swimsuits.
What I do love about the dance number in this scene is that all the men that Miss Piggy's dancing with, she's dancing with a bunch of men in tuxedos, and it's just this very like sweeping.
Oh yeah, that's right. You commented on that
dance scene. But what I love about it is that because it's 1981, all the male dancers, like, there's fully just like old bald ones.
They're all old.
It's a weird mishmash of people.
You never see that in movies anymore where there's dancing. It's always super young, crazy fit people. But like, if you watch like A Chorus Line and, you know, like all that jazz and The Great Muppet Caper, some of the men are just older guys.
I mean, I guess just working New York dancers that had been in those movies in like the 50s.
Yeah. But I mean, they're not that old, but they look like.
But you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to like.
No, you're not.
You're not allowed to be that anymore.
You're not
you
allowed
have to have like you have to have a cute like Travis Wall twink.
You have to have a fuckboy haircut. You know,
if you're in blah blah land, you got to be 20 years old.
Yes.
And a trendy haircut and a six pack.
Exactly. Yeah. And these guys had great bodies. They're dancers. But I'm just saying, like, you know, hey, look, that one's like
older.
Fully has no hair. Like that one's got like an 80s like mustache. But that was just, you know, that was accepted. And these were the men that were doing this job at the time. And standards have changed. So it is interesting to see it. But you do see it when you watch, like I said, A Chorus Line and you know, all those Broadway dance movies of the period, of the era.
Yeah. So. And it's an athletic dance number. Like I love the guys who are like diving over Miss Piggy's head into like a roll. Like
in a roll, yeah.
It's so great.
Well, could you just imagine them shooting the scene? Because you're working with a puppeteer that you have to dance around.
On top of.
Well, because that kind of begs the question, like, are there just holes in this floor?
Sure.
Right. That you have to like be aware. Is this a set of Alf and you just have to like look out for
doors everywhere?
I mean, I remember the John Cleese house when I was looking at that scene. I'm just like, how did they fucking do this set? Because like it doesn't look like there's holes in the floor.
No,
it looks like they just positioned a camera and the puppeteer is just like pretty much lying on the ground doing it.
Yeah.
I would love to. I know that like kind of it would break their kayfabe, but I wish there were more like production behind the scene videos of like someone lying on their back with their arm in the air operating their puppet, because that's just so like fascinating.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's kind of the gag too, is that like the story is that these Muppet movies, they build the sets up high off the ground so that the puppeteers can be below them and they can be standing and not have to be crouching and all of that. But I think that's also part of what we as movie watchers we're not supposed to notice that.
Yeah.
No.
And they do it so well in these movies that we don't notice that. And maybe in a big dance number like this, where the men are jumping and diving into tumbles and all of this stuff, is that much more complicated and that much more of an amazing feat that as we're watching it, we're just like, oh yeah, look at that bald man in a tuxedo like Dance with Miss Piggy. But really it was so much more difficult than a standard dance number in a movie.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
And I always love that, like, like earlier when they're in the boxes in the pond, anything wide, the mouth articulation goes way down. And then as soon as you're in like a close up, it's like, oh, I can see all the muscles in Kermit's mouth move. So like they like lift Piggy up and walk her away, and she just doesn't move. She like has her legs out in a split, and she's like, I'm holding it till I get to a new table.
Yeah, exactly. There's all the different methods that they use for the different shots and how far away and how close up they are and all that. Very interesting. But so well done. And this scene is really fun.
And leads to the fashion show.
And it does, it leads into the fashion show.
Oh, and it leads, Lady Holiday gets her necklace stolen.
Oh, that's right. Of course, we get the main plot point of is the stealing of the necklace.
Do the lights go out?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the camera bulb.
Yeah, and her necklace is gone because Lady Holiday shows up to the same, Temple of Doom restaurant with Nikki. And it's interesting when I watch this and I watch Charles Grodin's performance, and I'm like, is he just bad? Is he just camping it up like on purpose because this is a Muppet movie?
I think so.
But then something makes me just think, is that just Charles Grodin's personality, though? Bleeding through?
I mean, I haven't seen a Beethoven movie in a very long time, so...
Well, we were watching one of those Watch Mojo lists of top 10 worst SNL hosts, and he was pretty high on the list of a bad host because he does this thing where he smugly breaks character and talks about the sketch, and it just doesn't really land with Gilda and everyone else in the scene. So,
that's a bummer.
I don't know. I think Charles Grodin is just a very smug individual.
I think on SNL he was trying to do a very like Andy Kaufman meta kind of,
and it just wasn't landing.
Comedy, and it wasn't landing.
That's a hard thing.
Yeah, it is. And in this, I think he was just like, it's a Muppet movie, so I'm just going to be like way on like.
And
11.
also, I want to fuck Miss Piggy, so.
Yeah,
I guess we're just going all the way forward, y'all.
He's doing some good work here, though.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the camp in the Muppet movies is what makes them the like gay icons, and put on a pedestal because they're flashy and big and camp, and it's like you get to live in a different world where Fozzie and Kermit are identical twins to everybody.
Oh yeah, bears wear hats.
Bears wear hats, dear.
When we do get to the fashion show, I love all the backstage like hubbub. The plan at the fashion show from Mickey and the models is to pin the thefts on Miss Piggy. So they got to get her into the show somehow. So one of the models kind of like fakes this injury.
I wonder what their plan was because Miss Piggy's new to the scene. So like what was their plan originally?
Sure.
Just to find some other route.
I mean, they're just making this up as they go.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably just going to find somebody else. There's plenty of girls that are, working in Lady Holiday's orbit that would kill to be in the show.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
They would have found one of them, But before Miss Piggy goes on stage and she's just like, she's backstage. She's got I don't know if she's got a clipboard, but I feel like she should be carrying a clipboard. She should have one. But I love that she's got this like high ponytail.
I love that on her.
Love the high pony on Miss Piggy.
She's running this fashion show like a boss too.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Lady Holiday like takes note of like, wow, Miss Piggy's really doing her job.
Well, because Piggy's like out of the fucking way, lady. You may be the designer, but you're in my way now. I gotta get clothes on girls.
She's that person of when you do live events and they're like ushering people in from the red carpet that they're just putting out fires. We don't have time for any of this. I'm putting out fires left and right.
I don't care
what do you
who
want?
You are, Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Go to your chair.
Go sit down. It's marked.
You have an interview in 10 seconds.
Yeah. she's giving us like J. Manuel vibes backstage.
Oh, definitely.
Just like,
yeah.
ordering everybody around. But, when, Marla or whatever, like, has this injury and they present her with the opportunity to go.
She drops her. She's like cradling her, like, I won't leave you.
When she drops that model, that is one of the funniest sight gags in the entire movie.
It's so beautiful. Because also, that's what every little gay boy dreams, that they're going to be at, like, a theater show. And they're like, can anyone in the audience go backstage and be in the show for us?
Yeah.
Does anyone know Seymour's entire dialogue and songs if you're at like a Little Shop performance?
You're like, this is my moment.
Have any of you seen that clip on YouTube? Lady Gaga brings some dude on stage at a concert and he just like gets in line with the dancers and knows all the choreography.
Oh my God.
And it's real. And it's real. It's in Germany or something. And it's,
wow.
Yeah, I forget what song it is. But yeah, it's in Germany or something, and she pulls this guy on stage, and he's wearing like an orange denim jacket, open with no shirt on, so he just looks like a.
He looks like her dancer,
like backup dancer. Yeah, and I think she just brings him up to like give him a hug or whatever. But he goes and gets in line and does all the choreography, and it's amazing. Oh man,
I haven't seen that. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, you got to look it up. But yeah, so she goes out and models the hell out of this.
She does her runway walk.
Again, I'm gonna, once my sewing room is settled for my move, I'm gonna have to make myself this silver swimsuit and pleated cape.
Yes, please do. And
I don't think I've
photos.
ever seen that in drag. It needs to be done.
Yeah,
like a Miss Piggy look, like a direct Miss Piggy look.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a direct. It can just be like an inspiration of this look.
I like it.
Speaking of which, RuPaul's Drag Race need to get their shit together and put Miss Piggy on the judging panel. It's a panel. It's perfect for puppeteering.
Have you seen the thing that said, if Miss Piggy was a guest judge on Drag Race, she would bring up the fracking?
She would be the one.
She would do it.
Oh my God. That is why Kathy Griffin is probably like no longer welcome on that show, because she would as well.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, Miss Piggy probably would.
Mm-hmm.
They had her on Project Runway. She was sitting in that little chair.
In the little director's chair?
They had a whole like design challenge that revolved around Miss Piggy.
Yeah, that's true. Huh. That's true. Yeah,
it's probably because Disney owns her now, and they wouldn't let her, I'm sure.
That's
and Drag Race is Viacom. Yeah.
Night of 1,000 Piggies would be amazing, though.
Yes.
Oh, what a good challenge. I love it. And then everybody comes out in like the same random piggy. Like, I can already see
There'd be one person who didn't understand that it was a Miss Piggy challenge and comes out in like a barnyard. Like Animal Farm realness.
Oh, no. But this is the scene where we finally do get our water ballet, and it's synchronized swimming is really what it's called.
Yeah.
Your Esther Williams fantasy.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And it is a fantasy. She is this felt puppet is fully
it's underwater.
Well, apparently Frank Oz had to learn how to scuba dive for this.
Sure.
I love that.
Happiness, Miss Piggy.
And then they put the hose in the puppet so that bubbles came out of her nose.
So good.
This movie is so great.
I mean, one of the greatest synchronized swimming scenes ever committed to film.
Probably.
Sorry, Esther Williams.
Busby Berkeley, who?
Shots fired. You heard it here first, everybody. But, I mean, as a kid, I was always fascinated with getting dolls and putting them underwater.
And seeing how their hair looked.
Seeing how their hair looked. Uh-huh. Just how that doll hair would just flow. And Miss Piggy's hair just like giving us that like full Ariel moment. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's full on Ariel.
Yeah. Love it so much.
Stunning.
Are her eyes violet as well to match her gloves, or are they just blue?
I think they're violet.
Yeah, I think
they are.
Yeah. But yeah, this entire sequence is out of control again. Yeah,
we watched it right before we recorded.
We watched it again today.
We watched it again.
I could watch it every day.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely a huge. How the hell did they do that? Like you're saying, the air pipes out of the nostrils.
Yeah.
It's so much.
And then when they do the reverse shots of all the women looking like they're coming out of the water dry, so that Miss Piggy comes out of the water dry with her sparklers.
With sparklers?
And they shot it in reverse.
Yeah.
I was reading Roger Ebert's review of this, and I think he missed the point. He said, the lack of cutting edge hurts this movie. It's too nice, too routine, too predictable, and too safe. Ebert, were you watching the same movie? Because this is a goddamn water ballet that they did with a Muppet.
Miss Piggy water ballet was too predictable?
Oh, man. I disagree.
Yeah.
But, again, we have spoken about a very few shots in the movie where they unfortunately felt the need to put an actual person in a Miss Piggy costume.
Yeah, because I don't think that you've ever been able to meet and greet Miss Piggy like that.
Oh no.
She might have done a stage show. Though there was a Muppet stage show at one point. But it's a cursed look.
Oh yeah.
There's reasons why you can't see below the camera.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, the idea here is, it's this tall pedestal. It's tiered. It almost looks like a wedding cake, and she jumps off the top of it to dive into the water.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that with a puppet.
But the proportions are just so off, and then the swimsuit doesn't even look like the same swimsuit.
No. Yeah, it looks weird. I feel like maybe they thought the hair might mask the proportions.
You know what it reminds me of? In Child's Play, in the beginning of Child's Play,
yes. Sure.
when the mascot good guy doll comes out, that's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely, because the proportions are different. So it's very that. But it's only a couple shots, and they got the diving in, and
but I kind of live for them though. I love it.
Yeah, I gloss over it because the whole
they're so fucking weird,
ballet.
and I love it.
Yeah, the whole water ballet scene is great, but every time a scene comes on with a person in the Miss Piggy suit, Scott just laughs his ass off because it's jarring and unsettling, but also kind of funny. This is where when she wakes up out of her dream, she dives off the wedding cake into the pool, but she actually she falls into a fountain off the edge of the.
I wouldn't mind watching her if we saw Piggy go too far on the runway and fall.
Right. Well, that would entail them showing us Piggy walking the runway,
full body Miss Piggy doing a runway walk.
Okay, no, I don't need full body. It can be the kid with a Barbie doll bounce.
Sure,
that we get a lot. It can be that.
Love it. Yeah, you're right. I would have liked to have seen her they could have filmed her taking the tumble off the edge and falling into the fountain. But this is where they find the planted, necklace with no diamonds. The jewels. Where are the diamonds?
And I love that Lady Holiday has no follow-up questions with any of this.
Well, also
My diamonds!
Lady Holiday, who gave a monologue about how shitty her brother is, when Piggy's "Oh, you gave me this jacket. You put them there." Lady Holiday's like, "No, can't be."
Get her out of here.
Will you be hiring any more pigs, Lady Holiday?
The press is amazing. I like all of her stuff in jail.
Love it.
All of her euphemisms for jail. The big house.
It feels like the jail that Mama Fratelli would end up in.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's this jail.
Cinder block walls.
Or it's almost giving me that episode of The Golden Girls where they try to meet Burt Reynolds and they get mistaken for prostitutes at the hotel and they get brought in. It's
did time in Attica.
There's some really fun
those
stuff
little
with
opera
jail.
gloves in her prison jumpsuit. Such a funny little touch, though. That's so
yeah.
subtle that
Keep
you
the
have to
glamour
have the
where you
opera
can.
glasses.
Yeah, I mean, they probably purposely made the jumpsuit short sleeve to show the full.
To show that they are, above the
full
elbow.
arm. Yeah.
I screenshotted it on my Instagram, but that iconic shot of Miss Piggy bending the bars is so good.
It is brilliant. Again, I want to know what the mechanics were of them doing that.
Yes, because Muppets don't usually use two arms.
You can't grab anything.
It's difficult for them to use two arms because the one puppeteer's got to bring in a second person to do that.
Well,
yeah.
Earlier, when Piggy walks in with her lookbook under her arm, it's like off. It goes off screen so someone can be holding it so she can hand it to Lady Holiday nicely. So it's one of those weird things where it's either glued to their hand.
Yeah.
Or...
and sewn to their body.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kermit comes to visit her, but has to play it off that he's her lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So that he could visit her, because otherwise he wouldn't even be able to.
When do we get the baseball diamond set up in this plot? Because the baseball diamond is on display.
I think it gets mentioned at the end of the fashion show. Like after Piggy's being carted away, Lady Holiday says, like, my fabulous baseball diamond is going on display.
At the Mallory Gallery.
At the Mallory Gallery.
Yeah. I love that it's always referred to as the fabulous baseball diamond.
Yeah, always that.
And you know what I first noticed maybe for the very first time is that in its display at the Mallory Gallery, it's in a baseball mitt.
Yeah. I love that.
Good little detail.
This diamond is a sphere.
It just looks like a snowball.
I imagine, like, if it were a real diamond, that's gotta be heavy as hell, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. And gaudy as all get out. It is like, it's spherical, but it's got like, what are they called? Facets.
They got faces and facets.
Mm-hmm. It looks pretty crazy. Who knows how many carats the fabulous baseball diamond is? But Mickey and the models, they're plotting to steal it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why do they frame Miss Piggy at this point if they still have to steal the baseball? Maybe to throw him off this trail because they think that the thief is in jail at this point.
Maybe, but also like. They bring up the point later, like, why are you doing this, Nikki? You're rich already.
Yeah.
Because, like, why? You are rich already, and what are you going to do?
Yeah. Because even Lady Holiday mentions it, that he uses her credit cards. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got this, like, Rari that he's, like, driving around town in, this Lambo or whatever it is.
I also always wonder when, like, thieves steal stuff that's priceless, like the fabulous baseball diamond. What do you do with it? You can't just like go to a pawn shop.
Sure.
Because at this point it's now stolen. So you can't sell it. Yeah.
I mean, there just needed to be a line of dialogue that we have a buyer on the black market that is paying us $5 million for this diamond.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I think you call it a fence. It's got to be more than $5 million because I don't know how aware of either of the two of you are about this situation, but famous millennial rapper Lil Pump has look him up if you're not familiar with him. If you're not familiar with him, it's because you're old.
I'm only 29.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Old. He just recently got a dermal implant in his face, in his forehead.
Oh,
and it is a teardrop pink diamond the size of like your thumb. And he paid $24 million for it.
I did hear about this.
Wow.
Now that you say that.
Fool looks straight up like the Vision. It is an infinity stone in his face. It is out of control. And I read that he paid $24 million. He's been making payments on it since 2017.
Good Lord.
Wow.
And it's big. It's big for a diamond.
They got like flex pay for that?
I guess. Maybe
Klarna.
Yeah. The virtual debit card on Klarna. Yeah, man. And that thing is, like I said, it's a big diamond. Like if you saw it on a ring, it would be out of control. Mm-hmm. But it's nowhere near the size of the baseball diamond.
Yeah.
So that thing has to be like 50 to 75 million.
Yeah, that's it. That's way up there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess in 1981 prices.
Okay,
yeah.
That's true. 81 prices.
When you think about it,
40 years ago.
Yes, that's true. Inflation.
Maybe like 10 million max.
Sure. But at any rate, they're going to have to find some kind of offense on the like. This has got to be some like James Bond villain kind of stuff.
Speaking of James Bond villains, I love how fierce Marla, Carla, and Darla look in their cat suits.
It is very
when they're the
reminiscent
burglars.
of Grace Jones.
Yeah. View to a Kill.
Thank you. I was like, she was in one of them.
Yeah. Love View to a Kill. She's Mayday. Yeah, I mean, they're models. They're high fashion models in the 80s in London. So if they're going to pull off a heist like this, they've got to be in like full, like, awesome outfits. Couture.
I do love that they're models and like they're like smart and also models and cat thieves. Like, that's pretty fun.
Yeah. Criminal geniuses.
Yeah,
exactly.
I have a feeling that sort of the models are the brains of the operation.
Yeah.
And Charles Grodin just sort of does whatever they tell them.
And they're kind of doing it almost kind of just to stick it to Lady Holiday because she's just such a jerk to them. They're just like, F her.
I feel like they're using they want to use him as the fall guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. So they've got this vendetta against Lady Holiday. She's being an asshole, so they're like, we're going to steal the fabulous baseball diamond. Her idiot brother's going to help us, and then we'll be scot-free after this. Poor Miss Piggy's just a pawn.
Exactly.
She's just,
So when Miss Piggy breaks out of prison or of jail, this is where she finds the motorcycle.
Well, no, first she gets the cameo that I want in a Muppet movie, which is Miss Piggy pulls you out of your car and steals your car.
Yes.
I want that. Like, that's my ideal Muppet cameo. And then when that car dies, a motorcycle falls off the back of a truck.
Of the back of it. And just rolls right towards her.
That motorcycle is so fabulous, too.
It had
because it's like a
shiny rainbow
motorcycle.
Decals. Yeah. It's like an Evel Knievel.
And she's so lucky that she just had this uniform handy. Oh, my gosh. So Lex, listeners, has the glass. Where was this from? Was this McDonald's?
Yeah, it's McDonald's on the back. And on the back you can see Kermit, Gonzo, and Fozzie in their in their nose mustache glasses.
Yeah, they're wearing their disguises.
Crashing through the stained glass on the front.
I love that. When Kermit, Fozzie, and Gonzo and all of the Happiness Hotel, regulars are helping.
This is where Bunsen and Beaker finally make their big appearance. Yeah. And I was just like, when was it established that Bunsen and Beaker live at the Happiness Hotel?
Yeah, that seems like not their place.
Are they there somewhere in the in those early scenes?
I don't know.
I don't think so. There's like a sort of Miss Piggy if you squint in the background of one scene,
like another girl pig. Yeah,
just sort of the pig extras from the Muppet Show.
Yeah, but I don't remember seeing Beaker and Bunsen before that.
That's interesting. But yeah, they're the Muppets, so they're kind of doing this all like ass backwards. They've got disguises, but all their disguises are Groucho glasses with the nose and the eyebrows. So funny.
Also, like, I don't know why this is one of my favorite lines in all of movies. It is objectively not that funny. I know that, but when they say that they didn't bring a blowtorch, and Kermit's like, "What did you bring to get through the fence?" and New Zealand goes,
"I got some paper towels."
I don't know why that's so funny to me. But it
my sister and I used to laugh at I brought paper towels so hard when we were kids. I agree. It's so funny. It's New Zealand who's just a weirdo, like
the Shakespeare-looking dude for any non-Muppet heads out there.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a rough collar, the Shakespeare collar, and a fish.
His thing is usually their boomerang fish.
Right.
Sure. Is it a red nose?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's got the red
nose.
Like
Ernie, but like spiky hair. Yeah. Do the boomerang fish, are they exploding boomerang fish in one of the movies? I feel like they explode at some point.
They might be.
Yeah. But yeah, his line that he brought paper towels, I knew you were going to say that when you were setting that up.
I'm so glad someone else feels that way, because I tried to explain it to my boyfriend and I was like, I know this isn't funny, and I pitched it to him, and he was like, "You're right, that's not funny."
It's so stupid, and if you wrote it, it would be so stupid. But in the movie, the way his delivery in the scene, it is funny.
It works.
It just, it works. Love it. He brought paper towels. There's some really funny visual stuff with the Muppets when they make like this chain, like this Muppet chain.
Yeah.
It's a little scary looking.
Because they're all kind of like movie. There's a really great scene at the very beginning where the newspaper editor bangs on the table and everything kind of jumps, and Gonzo jumps up and grabs the overhead light that's hanging from the ceiling and swings, and his little legs are just kind of kicking. They're just kind of kicking slowly, but Gonzo's just hanging there. So there's obviously some kind of like remote control, like some kind of, motorized thing in them to have Gonzo continue to move. And in this Muppet chain situation where that's just the blob of all of them, and they're hanging there, and just like an arm will just
like pulsing
move.
every so often.
You're right. It's weird to look at, but it's incredible.
I also forgot that earlier there's the moment at the Happiness Hotel when Gonzo takes everyone's photo, and it's like a screen full of Muppets, and it flashes, and they all have little tiny eyes.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. That is a great gag. Because Muppet eyeballs are gigantic. And so when their little pupils get even smaller, it's just... You notice it right away.
Gonzo has very handsome eyes, too.
He does.
I find myself attracted to...
We get it. You love Gonzo.
To Gonzo, and I think he has very beautiful eyes. That's what kind of makes that puppet so special, are those big old eyes.
Okay. Apparently that was the big thing for Jim Henson in general, was that, like, you have to get the eyes right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's where it pulls you in.
Yeah.
We talked when we guested on Homos on Haunted Hill about Bride of Chucky. I mentioned that about Chucky and Tiffany. That's what makes those puppets so dynamic, are the eyes.
They're very lifelike.
Yeah. Well, Chucky and Tiffany's eyes are have veins in them and stuff. So they're like so like human looking, which is incredible. After the Muppets fully kind of break into, this scene here, there's a big fight scene with all the models and Mickey. It's a lot of chaos.
Piggy makes her big entrance, crashing through the window, and I mean, Miss Piggy is a black belt in karate.
Is this the first time she's done that?
I bet that she's done it on the Muppet Show.
Yeah,
somewhere.
She had to just hi-ya people all the time on the Muppet Show.
I also like when she crashes her motorcycle through the stained glass. My brain wants a Joel Schumacher moment of like a pig head shape or like,
oh yeah,
some kind of shape for her to crash through.
Yeah.
It needs to be like a silhouette of the bike somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I love in Miss Piggy's Wikipedia, because I did do a deep dive on Miss Piggy's Wikipedia. Under her occupations, actress, magazine editor, singer, talk show host, icon, and martial artist. In this scene, you get a good demonstration of her martial artistry.
When was she a magazine editor?
This movie, maybe? I don't know.
No, this isn't Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, I think in one of the Amy.
Oh, that's right.
Amy
She is a magazine editor in the Amy Adams
in the
Muppets.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because
that's sort of how we catch up of what Miss Piggy's been doing.
It's like 2015. They've all gone their separate ways, and they're going to reunite. And when they reunite with Piggy, that's her job.
That's right.
Yeah, yes. And then one of the new shows, it was the ABC show, which was 30 Rock, but with Muppets.
Yeah.
She was the talk show host. And that was perfect for her. That show was so good.
I would watch a real talk show of Miss Piggy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put her behind a desk. She's perfect.
We watched her on Wendy.
Oh. How was that?
She's gone on Wendy Williams.
The shoe cam worked. But there was a moment where Wendy wanted to do like a jewelry cam moment because she was wearing a ring, and it was the hand that didn't move. So Wendy kind of had to like grab the hand.
Like, hold it.
You get those puppet 4 fingers because puppets with 5 fingers look a little weird. They have to be 4. They're like the Simpsons.
Little chubby fingers. It was great. It was great. But yeah, when she busts through that stained glass, and it was exactly the scene on your McDonald's cup, which I love. And is the Mallory Gallery, was it like an old church? What is going on?
I don't know. It looks like it's like it would be an
Westminster
old castle. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the London Tower or the London Bridge or whatever.
Yeah.
And I love that we're going to show off this $1 million. We don't even know how much this diamond is because it's priceless. That there is a giant skylight with a way into the room.
With a nice, like, grid you can land on safely before you get down to it.
Yeah, exactly. There was, well, you know.
Safety first.
Exactly. Yeah, this last scene, it's kind of chaotic with, like, the fighting in there, but, you know, it's fun. It's still really fun because it showcases a lot of the Muppets. Yeah.
And then Miss Piggy has to save the day.
Oh, my goodness. Does she ever?
I mean, this movie's a good showcase of Miss Piggy.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of her movie.
Yeah, she takes it and runs with it for sure.
We get a lot of other Muppets kind of incidentally here and there. There's some really good joke. There's a really good Janice joke early on.
Janice has some good scenes in the Happiness Hotel.
I love Janice, and I love this era of Janice because they would do that thing where everybody would talk and then stop talking, but she would keep talking and it would be kind of inappropriate. I love that. And in this one, it's really funny.
What did she say about like her mom? No, mom, I'm giving up your dream or something like that.
In another one, I don't remember which movie it is, but in one of the movies, she says, and I said, no, man, I'm not taking off my clothes for you or anybody. And you're just like, what?
Excuse me, Janice?
Yeah, and in this one she says like, "No, mom, I'm giving up, something about giving up your
dreams, mom."
And she just has that like, you know, that cool like accent, that Valley Girl talk. Love Janice.
I saw some interesting blurbs from an interview that Frank Oz did when he talked about developing Miss Piggy for the Muppet Show. And her original hook was he wanted a truck driver wanting to be a woman, and then Miss Piggy just sort of developed from that. And what he said was that Muppets are always kind of one to two dimensional. Like there's not a lot to Fozzie or Animal kind of has no dimension. She's just like, he just screams. And Miss Piggy was kind of the first fully fleshed out character that the Muppets did. That there's a lot of layers to Piggy. Like there's kind of a lot going on in that character, which makes it so special.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool that the gay community have sort of latched onto her being this LGBT icon. I love that.
Yeah, she's a queer icon.
And I like that the Henson Company just kind of goes with it too. Like they've done interviews in Out Magazine. They've done like various Pride events. So they kind of just go with it. And I love that.
Yeah, they lean in.
Yeah. And it also helps too that because they're, you know, because of they're Muppets, so it's like animation, and it's like The Simpsons haven't aged in 30 years, and the Muppets haven't aged in 40, 50 years now.
Yeah.
But she gets to evolve with the time, and because she is this fashion
she's like
icon,
Barbie.
this gay icon.
Yeah.
She's like Barbie. Yeah. Absolutely. And every era has their own version of her that they love and latch onto. And it just gives us that much more to like talk about, like which one is your favorite and what look is your favorite and all of that.
I saw that Frank Oz did outline a Piggy biography in a 1979 interview from the New York Times, saying she grew up in a small town, most likely Keystone, Iowa. Her father died when she was young, and her mother wasn't that nice to her. She had to enter beauty contests to survive, as many single women do. She has a lot of vulnerability, which she has to hide because of her need to be a superstar.
Okay.
Just Frank Oz off the cuff said that in an interview.
I love it. And at some point in there she took, you know, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
At some point she took Krav Maga classes.
Yeah.
I mean, she has to defend herself.
Yeah, definitely.
When she moved to the city. She moved to New York City in the 80s, which was pretty grimy, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, she just found her way into showbiz. And then, you know, after this, we've talked a lot about Muppets Take Manhattan, but like you said, that movie ends in a full Broadway number.
And
with
a wedding. With a wedding on stage.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, too. It's like Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog fully get married at the end of Muppets Take Manhattan. But it's not canon that they are a married couple to this day.
They're not together. I think that it's kind of like when Barbie broke up with Ken.
Sure.
Oh,
In the 2000s. They did the same thing with Miss Piggy and Kermit.
Yeah.
It's like a Mickey and Minnie. Like they're together, but they don't need They don't need a ring.
They don't need labels.
Mm-hmm.
No.
They're in an open relationship.
They're like Goldie and Kurt.
Yep.
Okay.
Also, now I'm just picturing Miss Piggy in other movies, but like she's the only Muppet. Like I want Miss Piggy as Gale Weathers in Scream.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, that would be kind of
because she would punch Sydney back.
I mean, she's a budding journalist. She could hold her own with Ghostface.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh,
she
for
could,
sure.
Yeah, she could definitely.
What are other movies that we've covered on this podcast that we would like to see Miss Piggy dropped into?
Miss Piggy could. Miss Piggy could work at the record store in Pretty in Pink.
This is true. She could be one of Iona's employees.
She could own the record store.
It's true. We don't know if Iona doesn't own that space.
Tracks.
I'm trying to think if she could be any of the three from Witches of Eastwick, but I feel like I don't know that those personalities.
She could be the third sister in Practical Magic.
There you go.
I mean, I think she could take on any Cher role.
That's true. She's very Cher.
You know? Yeah.
She could be tending the bar and cruising.
Oh yeah,
Al Pacino.
Oh my god.
In a leather vest.
Oh my goodness.
She could probably be a good Weezer.
Oh yeah.
She could.
She would want to play Shelby,
and they would be like, "Hey, let's work
split
this
the
out.
difference."
We've already booked Julia for it. We're just gonna let her do it. She could have her own disco number in 54.
Oh yeah, easy. She could do the
For
whole
sure.
Selma role.
Mm-hmm. She'd have a whole roller skate number.
Oh man, Miss Piggy on roller skates. That full body double.
That would just be like, just go to a wide.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's a missed opportunity that the Muppets never did a take on single white female.
Oh jeez.
Oh my god.
Would Miss Piggy be the Bridget Fonda or the Jennifer Jason Leigh? Would she be Hedra?
I don't know.
That's a tough call.
It is. I mean, in the Muppets sitcom, the 30 Rock one, they established a new like pretty pig character.
Oh,
that's right. They did.
Yeah. Very interesting.
So they did single white female.
They kind of did. Yeah, they kind of did. And I think Kermit went on a date with her. It's a whole situation. That's on Disney Plus. Go watch it. But yeah, I feel like the next one, Muppets Take Manhattan, it's still super gay. There's a lot of shit going on in that one. But Great Muppet Caper just has some really, really funny moments, really campy stuff going on. All of her stuff with Lady Holiday.
Some iconic scenes. I mean, what an image on the poster of her in the Evel Knievel motorcycle outfit. So good.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think this definitely has more of the camp comedy, whereas Muppets Take Manhattan is just sort of inherently gay because it's about the mounting of a Broadway musical and getting the band back together.
Yes. Although, I mean, just the scene alone with her and Joan Rivers at the makeup counter.
I couldn't remember
clip of that earlier.
That wasn't in this movie when I went to watch it, and I was like, "Oh no, that's in Manhattan."
That's in Manhattan.
Where they put
that scene.
Joan Rivers puts lipstick on Miss Piggy.
Does she put it on her nose?
Yeah, she just rubs it on her nose and then puts it on her cheeks.
Yeah. Would Miss Piggy go on Fashion Police? I want to say that there was sort of a rivalry built into her and Joan Rivers that they would play up.
Sure.
I think that she went on Fashion Police.
That would have been fun.
Oh, yeah, that she was rivals with Joan.
That would have been a lot of fun.
We'll look that up. Maybe it exists. Maybe it exists only in your memory,
possibly,
or only in your brain. We'll find out.
Or just Miss Piggy as like a red carpet correspondent.
Oh yes, that's gold right there.
I mean, they sent her to the 2015 BAFTAs.
Did they?
They did.
Really? Do that?
She was interviewing John Hamm.
Oh wow!
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Good for her.
They stole your idea.
I was reading that another big inspiration for Miss Piggy was the jazz singer Peggy Lee when they were creating it.
Okay.
Oh, I think I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense.
Frank Oz stopped performing Miss Piggy in 2002 and was succeeded by somebody named Eric Jacobson in 2001.
Well, the voice is perfect because you can't tell.
And we have to give a shout out
to
Muppet creator, or she would collab a lot with them in the early years of the Muppets, Bonnie Erickson. She did the look for Piggy.
Okay.
Would work with the early years of Jim Henson developing the Muppets. So she's sort of responsible for that look.
I love that.
And then,
show.
And then the personality kind of came from Frank.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Wow. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, I mean, I think that's the Great Muppet Caper. Do we have any final thoughts on this movie?
I mean, shout out to Miss Piggy, strong, independent woman, speaks her mind, business mogul, multi-talented, fashion icon, and karate expert.
Mm-hmm.
Karate expert. That's it.
She's the Barbie.
I
of
love Miss
Muppets.
Piggy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Barbie.
And there's a reason why little gay boys always gravitate to Miss Piggy.
Yeah. And that reason is?
She represents the glamour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, she can kick someone's ass. So, like, if you get beat up, she could kick their ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
She doesn't take shit from anyone.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, we love her.
She knows her worth, and she adds 10%.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't just own 51% of this company.
Exactly.
She owns the entire company.
Oh my God. Miss Piggy as Mommy Dearest.
That would be amazing. I love it. The eyebrows.
Yeah.
Does she even have eyebrows? Who knows? We'll put
Joan puts them on her in Muppets Take Manhattan.
She adds eyebrows.
She adds eyebrows.
I love it. I love it. Oh, man. This has been a lot of fun. Lex, thank you so much.
We'll have you back on, too. So what have you been up to these days? I know that you just moved, but anything fun? I don't know. Anything you want to plug?
Yeah. So I have a podcast of my own called Dissecting the 80s.
You guys have a lot of episodes, too. I was going through your episodes. Holy shit.
We're going on our 7th year now, which is...
I love that.
Crazy. It's me and my brother every other week. We like break down the plot and make jokes about an 80s movie or TV show. So there's a huge back catalog to go through. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. You're going to hear my normal name, so don't be surprised if you don't hear Lex. But it's a lot of fun. We just dropped our Little Shop of Horrors episode at the time of this recording. And you can find me on Instagram at Lex Apro RX, like the drug. I'm a real upper. I am the current reigning Mr. Delaware Cub, 2020-2021.
Love that.
We'll see when, events can happen again, but
right.
You might have that. You might have that title for a while.
Yeah.
So you just got to roll with it.
Yeah, I'm happy for that.
That's awesome, man. All right. Well, everybody,
I miss going to the Eagle for fun stuff like that.
I miss bars so much.
I miss all that shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody get your shit together and wear a mask. We'll be back in there.
They're
soon.
partying it up in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, they're laughing at us.
I know. Nicole Kidman just went to the opera.
She just got slapped at the opera.
Got her ass slapped at the opera. But that's another story again. Oh, Lex, thank you again so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'd love to come back. This was so much fun.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll do another one.
We'll have you back soon enough.
Oh, please.
Alrighty. But with that, we will say adieu, and until next time.
Bye.
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 And thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this awesome episode. This was a lot of fun.
It was.
Saying, but it is that time. It is that time for our Patreon shout-out.
Yay! Love Patreon shout-outs.
Yes, indeed. We've got a new patron. Did we mention him last time? I don't remember, but let's mention him again. Paul, thank you so much for being a friend. We'd also love to thank Jamie, Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Dawn, Josh, M, Aaron, Melinda and Jim, Jessica, John, Nick, Christine, Rufino, and Mitch. Wow, look at all those patrons.
Love you guys.
Keep them coming. Love you so much. If you would like to check out our Patreon, it's www.patreon.com/moviesthatmadeusgay. There's tons of additional content, including Watch With Us commentary tracks.
We're going to be doing one this week.
Yes, indeed. There'll be a new commentary track posting shortly. Our most recent one was Empire Records. If you love Empire Records and you love movies that made us gay, head over to Patreon. You can watch the movie with us. It's super fun and super easy to do. Just hit play on your movie, hit play on the track, and it's like watching it with us in the room. Lots of fun. You can also, what else can you do? You can also find us on social media. We are at Movies That Made Us Gay on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter
at MTMUGPod.
Yes, indeed. We would love it if you head on over to Apple Podcasts, if you listen on Apple Podcasts, and give us some ratings.
Really helps with those mysterious Apple algorithms.
Yes, indeed. It helps people to find us. Good ratings, positive reviews, all that stuff. It helps people to find us.
I've been wanting to crack the movies and film top 50.
That would be great if we could, movie and film reviews, if we could be added onto their top 50. That would be wonderful. I know we've been in there a couple times, but they still haven't featured us. Oh, well, maybe next time in the future. But what would help if everybody out there would just open up their Apple Podcast app, find us, and just hit that 5-star button.
Smash those 5 stars.
It's free. It's easy. And most importantly, it's free. But if you want to find us separately on social media, you can find me. I'm Pete. You can find me at Peter Lasagna. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Peter Lasagna.
I'm Oscar Scott on Twitter, Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and just Scott Youngballer on Letterboxd if you want to see what I'm watching every week.
Yes, indeed. Lots of fun. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Until next time.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Bye.
Bye.